Um, yeah, that's it's quite a lot of the big teams gone.
Yeah.
Actually, I read a statistic from Statista, the website, and they valued the Premier League at £14.7 billion.
14.7.
And can you guess how much about the Big Six represent?
It's got to be a lot, surely. The majority, I'd guess.
Yeah, well, it actually comes to about 75% of the total value,
75.
which is £11 billion of the 14.7.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
So yeah, obviously values are always increasing.
Mm.
So these top six clubs, they're always growing. They're becoming a brand, so they're always going to grow.
Yeah.
So that's more and more money. That's a loss if they join the Super League, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Well, what do you think of how would this be prevented in the future? How would another Super League be prevented? If you,
I think one of the biggest things is independent regulation.
Yeah.
So,
what would that entail? Independent regulation.
So I read a thing on iNews, and it was by someone called Sam Cunningham, and he said an independent regulator of English football will have the power to block English clubs from entering the Super League.
Oh.
So basically, clubs would sign an agreement, and that agreement stated that they can only perform in UEFA, FIFA, and FA competitions.
So I'm assuming, that would be law.
Yeah, it would be set in stone if they signed.
Would there be any repercussions if they were to break this contract?
Yeah. So if they didn't agree, the clubs wouldn't be able to operate in England. They wouldn't be able to play any football in England. It would all have to happen outside Europe. So obviously, it's a bad thing. We need an independent regulator.
Yeah.
It needs to happen.
But do you think those clubs would take the risk of breaking the contracts if, as I've mentioned multiple times in this podcast already, they've still got the Asian market, they've still got the African market, they've still got the Middle Eastern market. Those will all still be watched, so it doesn't matter if they operate outside the UK. The brand, they're not really a place, it's a brand. You think of Manchester United, you don't really think of a city, the brand, everyone watches them from all over the world.
Yeah.
So and if they were going to have this opportunity to make a lot of money in this one league, do you not think they'd take it anyway? And risk moving out of the country, maybe to Qatar or another country hosting possibly.
I think it goes back to my point being made of keeping things to your country. So, essentially, if these teams weren't to play in England, to me, they become a circus act. They'd be travelling around, people would be thinking, oh, let's go and see this, whilst they're here in the city. So, it's like the NFL. The NFL comes to London once a season, and I'm not saying there's no NFL fans that go to these games, but a lot of the people that go, they're casual fans, they think to themselves, oh look, it's a day out for the kids, let's go and watch the NFL. And I think that's what would happen to football if the Super League went ahead. It needs to be kept to their own country. Not entirely, but that's where the game should be played. They're an English team playing England.
I know, but do you think the clubs really care about the community in that aspect? Do you think they just have eyes for the money?
They should do.
I'll have to disagree on that. We'll agree to disagree on that.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, if the Super League went ahead, how do you think this would look like for the rest of the English pyramid, with the assistance of an independent regulator? As without the Big Six, there would be a lot of money missing.
Well, there's a thing called the Football Supporters Association End of Year Review.
Oh.
I was reading this about this before I came on, and that stated that the Premier League's had no discussion with the EFL over any financial redistribution.
Oh.
So the EFL said that it wants 25% of the Premier League's broadcast revenue, and that 25% would just go towards all the EFL. It would help all these lower English teams. So obviously, what this is saying, the power of an independent regulator can make this beneficial for the rest of football in England. So why not?
Well, how have they mentioned how they redistribute the money? Would the clubs get a different cut depending on where they are in the league or their financial situations themselves? Or would it be every club has the exact same percentage, and they do that as they will.
Yeah. I did try and look for the information, couldn't find any on this report I was looking at,
Right.
but think about it, that shows that more action needs to be done for this.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, we need the inclusion of an independent regulator because it gives people the information they want to hear and it gives a clear vision on the future of English football. So, personally, I think the way it will be redistributed would be dependent on what the EFL want to favour. So you look at a team like Derby County, you know, they've been threatened with administration. They prioritise that, put the money towards that. So they save it and they think what needs to be done to help these clubs, and they play it smartly, I reckon. So I think it's a good idea to include it.
Well, do you think an independent regulator in football would be a good thing? I mean, could it drive investors away if they're trying to block these big money moves or these big propositions? You know, as an investor, if I was an investor, I would want the money I'm putting my things into to make sure that there's no limits on them, do whatever they want. But if you've got an independent regulator fiddling with big processes, are you really going to be, intrigued to invest in it?
I mean, I think clubs will still have to rely on investors. And what I'm saying is, if the independent regulator is doing a good job, clubs will still be seen as a potential investment for people.
Yeah.
You know, let's scrap all of it. They'll still see that. It's money at the end of the day. The clubs will still make money, and that's what these investors want money. So, why not?
Yeah, I mean, do you not think it would also slow down the progression of football? As the more money it goes in, the more money it progresses, the quicker it progresses, and the larger it progresses.
I guess, I think it sort of backs up the point of saying, football's resolved around money now.
Yeah.
It is, let's be real, it is. But there's only so much you can do.
Okay. Another thing about independent regulators, with the new directors' task, let's see if they're updating the director task. They'd require more levels. I don't think there's too specific about them yet. But I've mentioned it.
Yeah. There's been some.
As a volunteer member, a smaller club, someone who's not paid, do you really want to go through all these things? Oh, which thing doesn't mind if they want to own a club anyway, or be a part of it. They should have to stay through it.
I think they would want to go through it.
Yeah.
So, where I'm from, my local club's Colne Bay. So they used to be in the English football pyramid. Eventually they couldn't afford to stay in it, they had to leave. They received no financial backing from the FA in order to help them stay there. So if an independent regulator was implemented, they'd have some backing due to the rules, due to that financial redistribution thing. So it would be beneficial for the clubs. They'd have a hopeful future with financial backing from the FA. So why not?
So what you're trying to say is that there'd be a bit of a backball to lean on, they've got someone holding it.
Yeah, it's a reliance. They'll have their own investors, they'll have their own ways of making money, but if needs be, the power of the independent regulator is there to help them.
Okay.
Do you get what I mean?
I see, yeah.
So, we've looked at it in depth, we've made a lot of points. What is your view? Do you agree with me after what I've said, or have you stuck to your ways?
I think there needs to be much more research on independent regulators. I think the report was good. I think you've definitely changed my mind quite a bit. I think there's just a few still unanswered questions, such as having redistributed money throughout the football league. But I do think there's many more positives. So e.g. fans' voices being heard, that's really good for football as a whole. And helping clubs manage their finances, so we don't get a Bowie situation or even a Colne Bay situation, which is sad.
Fair enough, I can agree to that. I got my points clear, I think, but.
Sorry, I just mentioned one more thing just around it. I do feel like I just don't see how it will work. I don't think the investors will be happy enough, and the clubs will be happy. It would take a lot of progression and a lot of talks to get through. I think with investors, you want to make them happy because they really benefit the football league, and we don't want to. It could obviously have a reverse effect where there's investors pulling out, less money, clubs crumble. We don't really know. We need to
Yeah.
There's been a lot more research done.
I mean,
think that's
only the future can tell.
yeah, exactly.
You know, at the end of the day, we're sat here, we can only speak about it. We're not going to make a change, let's be real. Just depends what happens, innit? We're going to have to see.
Okay. Well, it was good talking to you then.
Yeah.
Well, I know that's the end of me and Dave's discussion on the Super League and potential restructure of the English football division. Thank you.
Cheers.